Hello everyone, today we're learning about Mציעא Daf Vov. We're going to start from Tzadik Hayomi on the base, a few lines up, about 8 lines up, beginning of a line. So before we start the Gemara, we're going to explain a second that the Machloikis, Rabbi Shaya and Rabbi Yonason. We had it early on. When the Torah tells you something, and it doesn't say Oy, it says Yikalel Odom Avi ve'imoy. Someone who cursed his father and mother, does it mean his father together with his mother, or it means or? So that's a machloikis Rabbi Shaya and Rabbi Yonason. And depending on that machloikis, we can see a way of explaining of Abaye and Rava how we know that Ba'ol of Imoy needs to be only B'shah She'ila, not B'shah Shvur and Mesa. So let's start. Abaye Sovala Rabbi Shaya. Mutaretz l'kroi Rabbi Shaya, and he explains the psukim like Rabbi Shaya. Rava Sovala Rabbi Yonason. Mutaretz l'kroi Rabbi Yonason, and the Gemara is going to explain. Abaye Sovala Rabbi Shaya, Mutaretz l'kroi Rabbi Shaya. It says in the pasuk, Ba'ol aveini moi shalem yishalem. Now Rabbi Shaya holds that if it doesn't say oi oi, it means in the whole both cases. So therefore, if it says in the Torah, Ba'ol aveini moi, the owner was not with you. Now, it doesn't say what part of the Sheila, the Shash Sheila or the Shash Bur Meso. So Rav Shaya hold that's going on both. So it says in the Pasuk, if all of anymoi, then you need to pay. Tama, the Leisa Betavrai, because the owner is not also the Shash Sheila and also not the Shash Bur Meso, then you have to pay. Or Isa Bechoda, Beleisa Bechoda, if you will be there B'Shash Sheila and not B'Shash Bur Meso, B'Shash Bur Meso and not B'Shash Sheila, Potter. And then, so one of them is enough. And then Viksiv, in Baal of Imoy, if the owner's with him, Lo Yeshalim, you don't need to pay. Tama, so we could see from there, the reason is the Isa Betavrai, because Baal of Imoy, B'Shash Sheila and Shash Bur Mesa, then you're Potter. Ha Isa Bechoda, Velesa Bechoda, if the owner is there for one of the cases, only B'Shash Sheila, not Shbur Mesa, only Shbur Mesa, not B'Shash Sheila. Mechayev, you will be Chayev. So we have a steer. In one diuk we say that all of, if you there for one of them, if it's imoy in one of them, you chayev, and in the other diuk it comes out that if the ball of imoy in one of them, b'shah sheila or b'shah shvur mesa, you're potter. So it's a steer. Says Abaye, lo imancho, it's coming to tell you, oyo imoy b'shah sheila. If the ball of imoy b'shah sheila, when he did the meshicha on the cow, when the shul did meshicha, the ball of was with him. Ein tzorich liyos imoy b'shah shvur mesa. That's good enough. You potter ball of imoy, even though that when it broke or died, the ball of were not imoy, you still potter. Or you imoy b'shash shvur mesa, but if ball of were with him b'shash shvur mesa and not b'shash sheila, tzorich liyos imoy b'shash sheila, and if you're not there b'shash sheila, you'll be chayev. And the Gemara later on in Tzadik Vav Ben Dalef is going to explain how do we know which one do the bailing need? Why are you telling me that you need to be b'shash Sheila, not B'Shash V'rod Umei, so maybe the opposite, and we're going to see that too. But the bottom point is that we have a steer, and one time it's mashma that it's good enough to be in one of the situations of B'Shash Sheila or B'Shash V'rod Umei, and in one of the times it tells that it's not good enough to be only in one of them, and then the answer now we're saying is that it's good enough to be B'Shash Sheila, and you don't need to be B'Shash V'rod Umei. Tzadik Moro, Tzadik Vav Mudalef. Rava Sovala Rabbi Yonason, who says that when it says in the Torah something together, it means or. It doesn't mean by both. When it says Ki Kalel Odom Aviv ve'imoy, it means or Aviv or imoy, even though that doesn't say oy. Mitaretz l'korek Rabbi Yonason, and he's going to explain like Rabbi Yonason, the Toni that we learn on the Bach Moichik. The Tanya, and you just Rabbi Yonason that we learn like this. In Baal of Imoy, if the owner's with him, Lo Yeshalim, you don't need to pay. So mashma, the Isa Betavrayu, that Baal of Imoy also b'shash sheila, also b'shash v'romei. So mashma nami the Isa Bechoda v'lesa Bechoda potter. Since Rabbi Yonason holds that Baal of Imoy it means or, so that means even if the bailing one only in one of the only in one point, only b'shash sheila, only b'shash v'romei, so you're potter. And on the other hand, it says another pasuk, if the owner's not with him, shalim mishalim, you need to pay. Mashma delese betavari, that the owner's not with him, not b'shas sheila, not b'shas shvuromei. So mashma nami, dechi isse b'choda, v'lese b'choda chayev. It's also mashma, at both cases, only at one of them, you have to pay. It's coming to tell you, if you were there, b'shas borrowing the cow, the chayfetz, even if Ba'alav are not imoy b'shas shvur mesa, you'll be potter. But if imoy b'shas shvur mesa, if the owner was there b'shas shvur mesa, it's not good enough, and you need also shash sheila. The bottom line, the Beiner of Yunus and Beiner of Ishaya, that the bailim need to be there b'shas sheila and not b'shas shvur mesa. And that the Gemara asks, you have a stira, so let's say the opposite, that the critical point that you need Ba'alav Imoy to be potter is Shash V'Romesa, not Shash Sheila. And that the Gemara answers, Mistabra, the Svara is, Sheila Adifa, it's more important, more critical to be there b'Shash Sheila. Why? That's the point that he's bringing into his Rishus. So the Gemara, no, Adrab, I'll tell you the opposite. Shv'Romesa Adifa, it's more important that it should be when the animal gets broken or dies. Why she can't chayv until that's the time when the chiyuv schal dam chayv to pay. So the Gemara on that, no, ilav sheila shvura, ilav sheila. If not, if you didn't have a borrowing happening, shvura meisa my ovid, that Reuven's cow died or broke, I need to pay. The only reason why I need to pay because I borrowed it. So that's the main point. So the Gemara, ilav shvura meisa. If it didn't break or die, sheila my ovid, that I borrowed it is not mechayv me anything if it didn't break or die. So we don't know what's the critical point. So the Gemara, filo hocha sheila aditha. So the Gemara, I'll bring you a raya that the critical point is to be b'shas sheila. Why? She can chayv in mizon. That's the point that you chayv in mizonis. When I'm in chayv to feed this animal, when I do meshicha on the animal, so since a chiyuv of mizonis is chayv then. So we say that's a critical point that we need Ba'alav Imoy to patter you from if it dies or breaks. Rav Ashi Omar Kra, I have arrived from the pasuk that the critical moment is Shasha Ila, because it's in the pasuk V'chi ish al ish me'im re'eu. If someone borrows something from his friend, and then it says if it breaks or dies, you need to pay. So we dash from there. V'lo re'eu imoy. If you borrow from your friend, but not if you're borrowing with your friend with him. That means if you borrow your friend with him, that means it's Ba'alav Imoy, and then you're potter. And it's talking about the Shash Sheila. So let's see that inside. Rav Ashi Omar Kro, V'chi ish me'im re'eu, v'lo re'eu imoy, then shalim yishalem. Ho re'eu imoy, if the owner of this item is with him, potter. Says the Gemara, Yochi, if we have this drasha, Ba'alav Imoy, Ba'alav Imoy Lomali, why do we need the Torah to tell you Ba'alav Imoy, Ba'alav Imoy to tell you the Chiddush, you potter, Ba'alav Imoy? You can learn already from the beginning of the pasuk that it says V'chi shal ish me'im re'eu, v'lo re'eu imoy. Then in that case you'll be potter. Says the Gemara, no. Ilav Hanoch, if not the psukim of Min Ba'alav Imoy, have Amina, I might have thought, Eyucha the crow, that's just the Lashon of pasuk, how he uses it to say, but it's not really a diuk. You wouldn't say that diuk. But now that we know the P'tur of Ba'alav Imoy, so then we can make a diuk to tell you, to tell you what point is it critical that the Ba'alav Imoy should be, and that's Shash Sheila. So this is a makar that we know that the Bailim need to be b'Shash Sheila, even though the Svara is that you should be the b'shash shvur mesa, because that's when you could say, okay, why it's a svara to be potter, because I'm potter because you are with me, the bailim are with me, you saw that I just broke or died, why am I chayev? But we say not like the svara, and we say that the Ba'alav Imoy is a p'tur when the ba'alim were there b'shas she'ela itself. Someone who borrowed the animal to do aveira with it, are you chayev like a normal shoyel or not? What's a shayla? Do we say the shayla in shabinon to be chayev? The pasuk of V'chi ish al me'ish re'eu needs to be for normal borrowing. This is a very unusual case to borrow a cow for, and therefore you're not chayev for dinei shoyel. Or dilma maybe tamemai. What's the reason why Ashur is chayiv mishum ano? Because he's getting ano. V'ainami islano. He has ano from taking this animal, and therefore he should be chayiv like a normal shoyel. The Gemara doesn't bring a teretz to the shayla. Shaila number 2. He borrowed the watch not to use, but to show off that he's going with a Rolex, and people say, "Oh, he's a rich man. Let's do business with him." Now, do we say you only have to be a shoyel if you borrowing something to gain value out of it, and here you're gaining value because people think you're rich and they're going to do business with you. A normal borrowing, they get a no from the actual item, from seeing the time, not from because I have expensive watch, people are going to think I'm a successful person. And therefore it's not normal shayla, and therefore you're not chayev like a shoyel. Veleka, and in this case there's no such a, you're not getting a no from the actual chayfetz, and therefore you should be potter. The Gemara doesn't answer shayla number 2. Shayla number 3. I borrowed the item to do malacha with it, but the value of the malacha that I'm doing is less than a prota. Now, do we say mamoino beinon veika? They need money, and at the end of the day, less than shor prota, I'm gaining money from it, and therefore I'll be like a normal shoyel. Or maybe kol pachos mi prota lav klum, less than a prota is not considered anything, and it's not considered I'm getting any anor from it, and therefore I'm not shoyel. And number 3, we also don't answer. Question number 4. On the tzad that I borrowed the prut to use a cow for less than a shara pruta and potter, what did they din if I borrowed from Reuven 2 cows, each one to do half a pruta? Do we look at me and the one who borrowed me, and at the end of the day, from this she'ela there is a no of a pruta, and therefore it's a normal din shoyel and a bichai ba'intim and a normal din she'ela? Let's look at each item separately. The kol choda, each cow itself, like a mamoina, it's less than shara pruta, and therefore I should be potter. Question number 4 we never answer. Question number 5. Shoa mishutfim. I borrowed from Reuven and Shimon a cow. And one of the shutfim, Reuven, when I borrowed the cow, was Baal Avima. He was helping me to load the cow on my truck. Do we say kuloi Baal of Beinin Vaoleka? You need Baal of Imoy, the full bailim, and Reuven is not the full bailim, and therefore there's no din Baal of Imoy. Or Dilma, maybe Mau Palga from the half that belongs to Reuven, the day Mia Mifta should be potter because it's Baal of Imoy in that half, and therefore I should be potter. Question number 5 we don't bring an answer to. Question number 6. Shutfim Shashalu, Reuven and Shimon borrowed the item off me. And when they were doing the shich on this animal that I lent to them, I was Baal of Imoy, I was helping Reuven with something else, but only Reuven, I wasn't helping Shimon. Mau, kuloi shoyel ba'inun beleka. Do you need Baal of Imoy for the full shoyel, but I'm only Baal of Imoy to Reuven, and the full shoyel is Reuven and Shimon, and therefore it's not Baal of Imoy. Or Dilma, by palga de shayla mias nifta, at least to Reuven and Baal of Imoy, to he should be potter on his half. And on this shayla we also don't bring a teretz. Next shayla, shal me'isha, someone who borrowed a cow from a woman, v'nishal balo, and a husband was helping load this cow onto the truck for the shoyel, but she didn't help. And the question, on the opposite question, that's really the suffix, the same shayla, is isha sheshala, a woman who borrowed something, v'nishal bal, and the borrower who lent out the item to the woman was Baal of Imoy, but to the Baal he was working in the office of a Baal. Now, what the din and what's the suffix? Kinin peres ki kinin guf domi oiloi. Do we say kinin peres that the Baal has in this nechosim of the isha that he could use them is considered that he could use them until he gets divorced or he dies? It's called kinin peres. Is that kinin naguf? Is he called the main owner, and therefore the husband who was Baal of Imoy is properly Baal of Imoy? Or do we say no, the isha is considered the owner because she has kinin naguf? So the Gemara is going to answer the shayla in a bit. Omali Ravinu Ravashi, another shayla. Orimel shluchoi. Reuven tells his shliach, Tzevi shoylim perosti. Shimon's borrowing off me this cow. Go help him load it onto the truck. Mao Baal of mamish beinon. Do we need literally that Reuven should be there with the job Baal of Imoy to consider the ptur of Baal of Imoy? Beleka oidilma shluchoi shladam kamoisa. The shliach of Reuven is like Reuven, and therefore the shliach was helping. It's like Reuven was helping, and therefore it's Baal of Imoy, and Shimon will be potter for all what happens to the cow. Beika. So Omar li Ravacha brother of Avia li Ravashi. Baal, the shayla of Baal, if kinin peres ki kinin aguf domi is pluked to the Rabbi Yechon Verish Lokish, as we're going to see in a bit. Shliach, the shayla of shliach is pluked to the Rabbi Yonis Rabbi Yishai. like we're going to see in a bit. So now the Gemara is going to explain. Baal, the case of Baal, if Kinyan Peres, Kinyan Aguf Domi or not, is proved to the Rabbi Yonis and Rish Lakish. The Itmala we learned, Reuven sold Shimon his field for 5 years. They could eat the Peres, but after 5 years, the actual field goes back to Reuven. Rabbi Yochanan Oima, maybe Shimon could bring Peres from this field as Bikurim to Yerushalayim, V'koira, and he reads the whole parasha they say when you bring Bikurim. And in that parasha, what did it say? Here I brought this Reshis Pri Adama, the beginning of the fruit from the land, Asher Nosatoli, that you gave me, meaning that you gave me this land. So Rabbi Yochanan holds, even though that he has a Bailas only Kinyan Peres, because it's not his forever, only for 5 years, he could say, the field that you gave me. How is that? Because Kinyan Peres is Kinyan Aguf, the one who has the Peres, he's a main Bailim, and therefore we could say, Adama Asher Nosatoli, that this field belongs to me. And therefore, by the Baal and the Isha, so also the Baal who has Kinyan Peres, he's considered the owner. Rish Lakish Oima, maybe Veina Korea, he brings Bikurim, but he can't read the Psukim because he's not the owner, because he holds Kinyan Peres, he's lab Kinyan Aguf, and therefore the Baal in our case is not considered the owner. And therefore, if someone borrowed the item from the woman and the Baal was Imoy, it doesn't help because he's not the Bailim. Now the Gemara explains, Rabbi Yochanan maybe v'korer why because Kinyan Peres Kinyan Aguf Dami. Rish Lakish maybe ve'ina korer why because Kinyan Peres slav Kinyan Aguf Dami. Okay, so we understand that the shaila that we had before about Baal and a woman, it's a machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. Shliach, the shaila about if Shliach shel Odom K'moise legabei Baal of Imoy is plukta. It's a machlokes Rabbi Yonis and Rabbi Oshia. The Tanya, as we learned, someone who tells someone who's like a shliach, someone who's in charge for his deeds, and he tells him, there's the din that a woman who does a neder, the Baal could be meifa if he hears it. Once he hears about it, he has a certain time, and he could say mufalach, 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 and he cancels the neder. Now this Baal is going to New Zealand for a long period of time, so he tells the apotropos, any neder my wife makes, from now onwards until I come back from New Zealand, say mufalach, 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 and the woman is made, and so happened he went to New Zealand, the woman made a neder, and the protocol said mufalach, you might have thought that it should work. Talmud loima ishoye kimenu v'ishoye furenu. No, only the husband has a power to be meifa. Rabbi Yeshaya, that means you can't do a shlichus over here. Rabbi Yonis and Oima Matzinu b'chol makom, we found in the whole Torah sheshlucho shel Odom K'moisoi, and therefore the protopos could be made for it b'makom abal. So therefore, legabe inyonenu about the shaila, if shlucho shel Odom K'moisoi legabe shliach who helped b'shas shaila, the Rabbi Yonis who holds that you could do a shlichus by a forest nadorim. So also, but there it's considered ba'al of imoy. When the shliach was helping, the shliach of the mashil was helping the shoyel b'shas sheila, and if he Rabbi Yeshaya that the protopos can't be meifa, so also, but you don't say ba'al of imoy by the shliach who helped the shoyel b'shas sheila. Omali Rav Ilish Lirova, what the din? A similar case that we had before about shliach, but it's instead of even sending a shliach to help load the cow onto the truck of Shimon who's shoyel the cow, he sends not the shliach, he sends an evet to help. And we say, Rav Ilish tells Rava, the shaila is also the shitta that we said before of Rabbi Yonason, that we do say shlucha shel Odom K'moisoi by Ba'al of Imoy, and tiboy leman da'oma shlucha shel Odom ene K'moisoi, and afilu Rabbi Yeshaya that by a shliach we said it doesn't work Ba'al of Imoy, maybe by evet yes, and the Gemara is going to explain why. The shaila is even if you're Rabbi Yonason who holds that by shlichus you do say Ba'al of Imoy, you might say Hanimili, maybe that's by shliach the bar mitzvah who, by a shliach who's also chayiv by mitzvahs. Avol eved, by a eved the bar mitzvah who, that he's not chayiv by mitzvahs like a man, he's like a woman. Maybe you don't say shliach shel Odom K'moisei, and Rashi explains that the whole din of shlichus we learn from Truma. Atem gam atem rabba shluchachem, and we need that he should be dumya de meshaleach, and here is not dumya de meshaleach, he's chayiv less mitzvahs. Or maybe says Rabbi Ilish, even if you Rabbi Yeshaya that we don't say shluch shel Odom K'moisei when it comes to That's too much shliach. But Heved, it's different by a slave. Yad Eved Kiyad Rabbi, it's literally, we still the din that the hands of the Eved is like the hands of the master, and therefore it's like literally the master was helping, and therefore we should say Baal of Imoy. Yad Eved Kiyad Rabbi Dami, or Malay, so Robert told Rabbi Lish, Mistabros, the svara is Yad Eved Kiyad Rabbi Dami. That the hand of the Eved is more than a shliach. It's not in shlichus. It's like literally the hands of the master. And since the master sent the Eved to help the shoyel load the cow when he did meshicha on the cow, so it's considered Baal of Imoy. Said the Gemara, Boy Romi Bar Choma, Baal benichse ishtoi. What's the din when a Baal in the nichse milug of his wife? Tzadik Vav on his base. What's the shaila? Shoyel ave, is he like a shoyel, like a borrower, and he's chayav be'ointzim if he borrows, if something happens to the nichse milug of the woman, that's a havamina. We're going to see soon the shaila was a bit different. Or soicha ave, or it's only like a soicha is only chayav gneva aveda, or like a shemechinom, depends on like Rameh and like Rabbi Yehuda. Amar Rava, so Rava heard the shaila of Roim Bachom, and he said, Lefum churpa shabashta. When someone's very charif, when very sharp, and he has all these big questions, he's also sometimes wrong. He's also meshubash. He's not correct. Why? Manavshoch. What's the question over here? Ishoil have. Let's say the husband who's taking these cows nichse miluk from his wife, he's considered a borrower. Sheila babailimi. The woman is mechuyev to work for the husband. She's mechuyev. She helps at home. She does. Like in Ksubas, we learn what she's mechuyev, so it's considered that she's Baal of Imoy, so he's potter. And he's soicha, and if he's a soicha, if he's a renter, schurz bebailim, the same thing, it's schurz bebailim, and he's potter, so what do we care? What's the shaila over here? Elo, kikomi boil Romin Bar Choma, it must be Romin Bar Choma, or shaila was a bit different, because Romin Bar Choma obviously wasn't a fool, he knew what he's talking about, so what was his shaila? The Ogar Minopora, he rented from this woman a cow. And only afterwards he married her. So what's the shaila? Man, shoyel have or soich have? Is he a borrower or is he a renter? What's the shaila? Shoyel have, do we say he's a borrower? And now when he's marrying her, and therefore these cows that this cow that he rented from her before, now he becomes his Kinyan Paris, like we learned, because it's nichse milug, and now he's a borrower, and mafka schurus sheloi b'bailim, and he pushes away the schurus that happened early on before he got married to her, and now he's potter because he's shoyel b'bailim, and he's potter because b'bailim you're potter. Or maybe soicha have, he's only a renter, b'schurus kedekaima. Since before he was a soicha when he rented it from her a month ago, and now that he married her is also soicha, so nothing changes, and therefore he'll be chayiv if something happens to the cow, let's say pshia. So the Gemara doesn't like this. The Gemara says, like if he said if he was a soicha now, and now he became a shoyel bebailim, it's mafkia, the schirus, and now it becomes sheile bebailim, and you'll be potter. So we say the same. Even if he was a soich, if he's a soich now, when a man marries a wife, benichse milug, so taste is schurus bebailim. The schurus now is bebailim. Tepuk, he should push away the schurus shaloi bebailim that we had early on, and whatever happened, it should be potter. So what's the shaila? What's the difference? We know that at the beginning he was a soicha before he got married her. Now he married her, so it doesn't matter if he's a soicha now. It doesn't matter if he's a shoyel now. Now it's bebailim, so it's mafkia the first chirus, and therefore it's bebailim and you're potter. So what's the shaila? Elo kikomi boil Romin Bar Choma. What's Romin Bar Choma shaila? Kigoin in a case the orgur e por me'alma. She rented a cow from Reuven. V'oda nosba. Now she married Shimon. Now, so. A second before we continue, we're just going to repeat the case that we had early on with a mission on Daf Hayomi base, that you had Reuven who owns a cow, who rented it to Shimon, and Shimon lent it out to Levi, and by Levi Oinsim happened. So the shaila was, could Shimon pat himself from Reuven because he's a soicha, because the oinus happened? And then he could go and claim from Levi, well, Levi owes him because Levi is oinsim. And Levi is chayv oinsim because the shoyel, that was one shitta, that was shittas rabbanon. And Rabbi Yossi holds, no, that the owner Reuven goes straight to Levi and says, "You're a borrower from Shimon, but it's my cow. You need to pay me." So let's go back over here. So Elo Kiko in Bar Choma could go in the case to Obra E Por Me'alma. She rented a cow from Reuven, but Oda Nospa, now she married to Shimon. Baliba the Rabban and the Amri Shoyel Meshalim Lesoicha, the the shitta that the Shoyel pays to the Soicha and the Soicha gains a cow. There's no shaila. The Vadai Shaila Bebailim here. There's no shaila because for sure, this Shimon who married this lady now, it's cool, even if he's a shoyel, he's shoyel bebailim. Because he married her and she's doing melacha for him, and therefore he's for sure potter, so there's no case to gain anything. Kiti boiloch, when is the shaila, Ali B'dur Rabbi Yosi, who holds the Omar Tachzor Par Lebailim Arishonim, the Levi, in the case where Shimon rented it from Reuven and lent it out to Levi, Levi has to pay Reuven. What's the din in this case where the woman rented the cow from Reuven and then she married Shimon? Do we say shoyel avi? He's considered a shoyel, and he's considered a shoyel from Reuven, and it's not ba'al avimoy, and he has to pay. Or he's only a soicha and his potter binds him. So that's the shaila of Roman Bar Choma. So the Gemara Amarova ba lo shoyel avi v'lo soicha avi. He's not a shoyel, he's not a borrower, and he's not a renter. It's like he bought the item and he doesn't have to pay if anything happens to it. How do we know this? The Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina, the Omar Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina, but Usha Itkinu, in the place Usha, where that was one of the 10 places where the Sanhedrin or Goyla before it got cancelled. So they made the takona, Isha Shemorcha benichse milug b'chay bala. A woman has nichse milug and her husband's using it for Paris, and now she sold it to someone else. So now she died. So the Svar would say that now she died, that it's meant to go back to her or to a Yerushim. This guy who bought it gets it. But in Usha they made it takana not like that. A Baal moitzi mad alekochas, no, the Baal keeps it because he's considered loikeach rishon. So we could see that the takana of Chazal was that the Baal in the nichse milug of his wife is like a loikeach, is as if he bought it. And therefore, in our shaila, it's like he bought it, and if he bought it, he doesn't have to pay for any ointzim or any gneva aveda that happens. And therefore, we answered our shaila is not shoyel, is not soicha, he's a loikeach. Boy, Roman Bar Choma asked another shaila, Baal benichse ishto, imi moad. So the Gemara understands now, it's talking about a man who's married to a woman, and now when a woman's married and she gets a Yerusha, so the Yerusha goes to the husband that he could eat the peris from this Yerusha, and if he dies, it goes back to the Yerusha, the Keren, the capital, goes back to the woman. So the shaila is that she got Yerusha, and part of the Yerusha was money, a wallet of Hekdesh that belongs to Beis HaMikdash. And the Gemara understands now at this point that straight away when it comes into the husband's Rishus, there should be a mail over here because you're moitzit Rishus Hekdesh. So the shaila is Moal. Who is Moel? Omarova. Man Limoil. Who should be Moel? Limoil Baal. If you're going to say the Baal should be the one who's Moel because he goes into his Rishus, he only wants to be Yerush in this Yerusha. What's mutter for him? Isura, this money of Hekdesh that's Issa for him to be Yerush. He doesn't want to be koinah, so why should he be Moel straight away? If you're going to tell him that she should be Moel, she doesn't even want that the money that goes to the husband should go to the husband because she prefers it should go to her. It's not. It's her Yerusha, and we say the Yerusha goes to the husband. And she's not happy even about that, but it happens even without her wanting. So for sure she shouldn't be moel. Nimelu Bezdin, let's say Bezdin should be moel because they made the takana that this money should go to the husband, and the Bezdin of each dur is kilu, they made taken the takana. So the Gemara, no, Kiyov the Rabbanon takanta, when was the takanta meant? The Omru, and they said the takana ba loikeach habi, that is considered loikeach, and he gets this Yerusha. Leitera, they only made it for something that he's allowed to be koine leisura, or something that belongs to Hekdesh. Lo yav Rabbanon takanta, Rabbanon never made such a takana. Elo marova Baal moal keshiyoiti. Really, kol od the money is still in the hands of the Baal, he is no moyel. But the Baal's moyel when he uses the money and he takes his wallet and he buys fruit in the shop, or he buys a cow, or he buys a watch, or he buys a car. Mididave moit Hekdesh lechulin, like you have someone who has money of Hekdesh and he doesn't know that belongs to Hekdesh and he goes and uses it. That's when he's moyel. So also this husband, if he never used the money, it's still in Rishus Hekdesh because he does beiter nichere delikne. But once he uses the money, then he's moyel. Iboilu, says the Gemara Shaila. Kichesh bosom machmas melocha mai. Reuben borrowed of Shimon a cow, and he used it to plow the field, and the cow became skinny because of it, became weak. Does he have to pay for the damage that happens to the cow? This Talmud Chacham said to him, and who is that one? Rab Chilkiah, brother of Avyah Shmei, and his name is Rab Chilkiah, the son of Rab Avyah. Michlal, from this shaila that you're asking is mashma dechi meisa machmas melocha. If it would die because of work, because I plowed it in the field, michayev, you would be chayev in such a case. The shoyl would be chayev if it died because he worked it in the field. L'chora neimale. L'chora, the shoyl should tell the mashir, lav lo ukma b'kilta shilta. Why should I be chayev? I borrowed this cow to plow the field. Did I borrow it to put it in the pen and not use it? Obviously not. I borrowed it to use it. That I died while I did melocha because of the melocha. That means he lent me a weak cow. I'm not chayev. It was obvious I'm going to use it. So I'm potter. So for sure I'm potter even if it got weak. If I'm potter for if it got died. I don't have a shayla kiches bosa machmas melocha the potter. That if it got weak because I did melocha, and obviously I didn't extra overwork it, and potter elo, even afilu meisa machmas melocha, even if it died because of melocha, nami potter, it will be potter. The omalei lavla ukma bekilta shilta. I didn't borrow it to put it in the pen. I borrowed to use it, even though we say that asher is chai ba'intzim if it died randomly, but if it died because of melocha, I did with it and potter because we have a svara. What did I borrow it for? To use it, and now it died while I was using it. It's not my fault, and I'm potter, even if it died. Au gavra, that man, the shoyl nargo mechavre, he borrowed a axe from his friend. It broke. He came in front of Rava. Omale zila aise sad. They bring aid in the lav shonis bay. They didn't use it in a way that's not normal. I mean, we used the axe to cut trees. We didn't try, let's say, taking down a metal pole with it. That's not a normal thing to use the axe for. The if then he'll be potter because it's called meisa machmas melocha. It died, it broke because of melocha. What's the din if he doesn't have Adim to bring to prove that he never extra used it? What the din? Toshma, come and listen. Though Gavra the show Nargam Chavre, that man who borrowed the axe from his friend, the Itban, and broke. Also the Kamed Rav, he came in front of Rav. Omalezil Shalom le Nargam Alia, go pay a new axe, the price of a new axe. Omali Rav Kana Ravasi Rav Kana and Ravasi were there. Asked the Shailan Rav, Dino Ochi, is a din so? And Rashi explained that it says in the Mishnah Bobikama that when you cause damage, let's say someone caused damage to someone's car, so let's say the car was worth £10,000 and now it's worth £5,000. He doesn't have to pay him £10,000. He gives back the car, and he has to add on £5,000 to fix it. So also over here, why are you telling him to pay a new axe? Should give him back the broken pieces and pay the difference. It has value, those broken pieces, and the difference between those broken pieces and a new axe, that's all you should pay. B'shosik Rav, and Rav kept quiet because he type of agreed, yeah, you're right, he only has to pay the difference, he doesn't have to pay a new one. V'ilchas an halacha is Rav Kana, Ravasi like Rav Kana, Ravasi who held that you have to give the difference, not a new axe. The Mehada le'tavre, they gives him the broken pieces, u'mimalya le'domi mona, and he has to fill up to how much a new axe costs. So let's say a new axe costs £20 and the broken pieces cost £5. So he gives him the broken pieces and he gives him £15. Said the Gemara Gavra, this man, the Shoil Davla Michabra, he borrowed a bucket to water his field. It broke. Also, like a papa came in front of a papa. Omale Isis had it, the Loishon is by. Bring aiding that he didn't extra use it, maybe let's say for metal stuff that are very heavy. You only used it for water like it's meant to. If then you'll be potter, like we said, that Meiso Machmas Melocha is potter. Thank you, everyone. Everyone should have a very good, blessed day, and we should hear Psuris Torahs, and we should be zoicha to learn this tomorrow again and remember it and make the whole Torah.